Two people can earn the exact same paycheck and end up with completely different financial lives. One quietly builds wealth, the other always feels like they're trying to catch up. The surprising difference isn't how much they make, it's how they think, and the first psychological law explains exactly why. 1. Maslow's hierarchy. Many people know Maslow's hierarchy of needs from school. It's usually shown as a pyramid. At the bottom are basic needs like food, shelter, and safety. Above that come relationships, confidence, achievement, and finally self-actualization. Here's what's interesting. Generally, people assume that earning more money automatically moves them higher up this pyramid, but in real life, the opposite often happens. Someone gets a raise. Instead of feeling more secure, they immediately upgrade apartments, buy a nicer car, spend more eating out, and suddenly need an even higher income just to maintain the new lifestyle. Their income increased, their sense of security didn't. Psychologists sometimes call this raising the floor. Instead of using additional income to strengthen long-term safety through savings or investments, people increase the amount of money required just to feel normal. The wealthy often think differently. When basic needs are comfortably met, they start asking different questions. How can I create freedom? How can I buy time? How can I reduce financial stress 5 years from now instead of increasing it today? Notice that the focus slowly shifts from consuming to creating stability. That's why wealth isn't just about income. It's about reaching a point where your higher psychological needs aren't dependent on constant spending. One practical question can reveal where you currently are. When you receive unexpected money, a bonus, tax refund, or side income, what's your first instinct? Buy something or improve your future. That single reaction often says more about your financial psychology than your salary does, and that leads perfectly into another invisible force that quietly consumes almost everyone's money. 2. Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law sounds complicated, but it's incredibly simple. Work expands to fill the time available, and money does something surprisingly similar. Expenses expand to fill the income available. Think back to your first full-time paycheck. At the time, it probably felt like plenty. Fast forward a few years, your income may have doubled, yet somehow your bank account doesn't feel much different. Where did it all go? Usually not into one huge purchase. It disappeared through hundreds of tiny upgrades, better subscriptions, more expensive groceries, nicer vacations, higher monthly payments. None of them feel unreasonable individually. Together, they quietly consume every raise. This is why many high-income households still live paycheck to paycheck. The problem isn't always income, it's expansion. The wealthy often use a different default setting. When income increases, they don't immediately increase lifestyle, they increase ownership. They invest, build emergency funds, pay down debt, purchase assets before upgrading consumption. The habit isn't glamorous, but over 10 or 20 years, the gap becomes enormous. Here's something practical you can try immediately. The next time your income increases, decide in advance where every extra dollar goes before it arrives. If you wait until the money is sitting in your account, Parkinson's Law usually wins. And once money starts disappearing into lifestyle expansion, another psychological force begins making those expenses surprisingly difficult to reverse. 3. Loss aversion. Imagine someone offers you two choices: receive $100 or avoid losing $100. Objectively, they're identical. Psychologically, they aren't. Research consistently shows that losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining something feels good. This is called loss aversion, and it quietly shapes financial decisions every day. Have you ever kept paying for a streaming service you barely watch? Held on to clothes you never wear because you already bought them? Refused to sell an investment because you didn't want to admit a loss? That's loss aversion. Our brains hate giving things up, even when keeping them costs us more. The wealthy aren't immune to this bias, but many successful investors build systems that reduce its influence. Instead of asking, "What will I lose?" they ask, "What will this decision cost me if I keep doing it?" Those are very different questions. Sometimes the biggest financial gain comes from letting go. Canceling unused subscriptions, selling things collecting dust, leaving an expensive habit, walking away from bad investments. The pain is temporary, the savings often continue for years. And interestingly, this connects directly to another psychological trap that convinces us we'll finally be satisfied after just one more purchase. 4. The hedonic treadmill. Think about something you once desperately wanted: a new phone, a larger TV, your dream car, a promotion. Remember how exciting it felt before you got it. Now think about how often you notice it today. Probably not much. This is the hedonic treadmill. Humans adapt remarkably quickly to improvements. What once felt extraordinary slowly becomes ordinary. The excitement fades, then the brain searches for the next upgrade. This doesn't mean buying nice things is bad. It means expecting permanent happiness from them usually doesn't work. Studies on happiness consistently find that people adapt faster than they expect. That's why chasing lifestyle alone often feels exhausting. There's always another level, another upgrade, another comparison. Many financially successful people eventually discover something interesting. Experiences often create longer-lasting satisfaction than possessions. Learning new skills, spending time with family, traveling, building something meaningful, helping someone else. Those memories don't become invisible as quickly as physical possessions often do. Here's a useful habit. Before making a large purchase, wait a week. Ask yourself one question: will this still improve my daily life 6 months from now? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the excitement disappears before your credit card statement even arrives. And speaking of buying things, the next psychological law explains why one purchase almost never stays just one purchase. 5. The Diderot effect. Imagine buying a beautiful new couch. Suddenly, the old coffee table doesn't match. Then the rug feels outdated. The curtains seem wrong. Before long, you've redecorated the entire room. This chain reaction is called the Diderot effect. One purchase creates pressure for another. Not because you needed it, because your brain wants everything to feel consistent. You can see this everywhere. A new phone leads to new earbuds. A new suit leads to new shoes. A luxury car makes the old garage feel inadequate. Companies understand this extremely well. That's why products are often marketed as complete lifestyles instead of individual items. The wealthy often avoid this trap by asking a surprisingly simple question before buying something expensive. What else will this purchase require? Maintenance, insurance, accessories, repairs, upgrades, time. Every purchase has hidden companions. Seeing the full cost, not just the price tag, changes decisions dramatically. Sometimes the smartest financial move isn't saying no, it's recognizing the chain reaction before it starts. Because once you understand hidden costs, you're ready for perhaps the most valuable question wealthy people ask every day. 6. Opportunity cost. Every financial decision has two prices: the one you pay and the one you never see. Let's say someone spends $2,000 on the latest electronics. Nothing wrong with that, but opportunity cost asks a different question. What else could those same $2,000 have done? Reduced debt, been invested, funded a certification, started a small business, covered 6 months of emergencies. The real cost isn't just what you bought, it's what you gave up. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts behind long-term wealth. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" many financially successful people ask, "What am I choosing instead?" Those questions sound similar. They're not. One looks at today's bank balance, the other looks at tomorrow's possibilities. And opportunity cost applies to more than money. It applies to time. Scrolling for 2 hours has an opportunity cost. Watching television every evening has an opportunity cost. Constantly switching tasks has an opportunity cost. Every yes quietly creates a no somewhere else. Once you begin thinking this way, your daily decisions become surprisingly intentional. And that brings us to the final law. It's probably the simplest, yet it may have the biggest impact on wealth over a lifetime. 7. The Pareto Principle. The Pareto Principle is often called the 80-20 rule. Roughly 80% of outcomes often come from about 20% of causes. It's not an exact mathematical rule. It's an observation that appears surprisingly often in business, sports, learning, and personal finance. For example, a small number of spending habits often create most financial stress. A few smart investments often produce most long-term growth. A handful of consistent habits usually matter far more than dozens of tiny financial hacks. This is incredibly freeing because building wealth isn't about optimizing everything. It's about identifying the few behaviors that matter most. Maybe that's automatically investing every paycheck, avoiding high-interest debt, learning valuable skills, keeping living expenses reasonable, protecting your health so you can continue earning. Those few habits often outperform hundreds of small money tricks shared online. Whenever you feel overwhelmed by financial advice, remember this principle.